I have watched almost every video on how to become a content creator in 2025, and I have made a 3-step plan. And in this video, I'm going to share it with you and how I'm going to implement this plan and try to become a content creator for this year. I think the first thing that I need to do, and that if you're going to be doing this, you need to do as well, is figure out the why. Why do you want to do this? And then how are you going to do this? For me, I have always loved content creation, and the fact that some people get to make this their job just seems so cool. It is such a great creative outlet because you touch on so many things, from filming to then color, lighting, sound, editing, which I love. I really do enjoy editing. And then whatever it is that you're filming, you have to prepare it and then do it. And it just, I don't know, I really, really enjoy the process. There's also a second reason, and without getting into too much therapy, I'm going to be treating this a little bit as an exposure therapy. Shock treatment? Exposure therapy sounds better. Because I have this huge problem with shame, with everything. The hair, the walking outside, the talking to people, the talking to anything, and especially putting myself out there. So I am going to be treating this as a little bit of an exposure therapy experiment. So it's both reasons. Insanely cool job that I get to decide what I want to do, and maybe it'll help with my shame. Hopefully. Let's get into the plan. Part 1 is going to be set your goals, because if you don't have a goal, what are you working towards? One of the pieces of advice that I love the most that I heard is that you should have an end goal. You should imagine what it is that you are working towards, final form, and then break it down into little pieces. And those little pieces are going to be the steps that you need to take towards the big goal. It sounds so simple. It sounds very logical, like something we all know, but do we actually do it? Not really. Oftentimes we think of a goal and we think of what we would love, and we don't sit down, write it down, and then write down the steps to get there. I have 2 main goals for this channel, for this experiment. The first one, make YouTube at least a part-time job. I think full-time is going to be a little bit too delusional in a year, but at least part-time. I'd be really lucky if I get to make it my job. Is that manifesting? I feel like a lot of people talk about that, like, oh, just manifest what you want. Okay, I don't know how to do that, but I can work for it. Now, if I break that down, what I need to do that is be consistent on YouTube and upload. So I've set myself the goal of minimum of 1 long-form content video a week. My original idea was 2. However, I feel like that might be too much. I'm going to try 2. But definitely 1 is mandatory for me. And I'm going to be focusing on booktube and reading vlogs, and I will add some art videos in between those reading vlogs because it is part of my job. It is what I'm doing. I have commissions, and I have mainly commissions. So that's part of my everyday life and will be included in the reading vlogs, but my main focus will be books. My other goal for this year is to start a booktube book club. I would love to do that. I have been wanting to be part of a book club for a very long time. And if it's in this community that I love, yeah, I can do that. Now that we have set our goals, we can move on to part 2, which is research. I actually do enjoy this part. There's 3 things that are the main things that we're going to be researching, and then a 4th one, which might seem small, but is very important. The first thing that you need to analyze and research is your audience. Who do you want to reach? What kind of people? And then you have to answer some questions like, what do they watch? Why do they watch it? What do they get out of watching this content? The best way of doing that, honestly, is just watch the people that you enjoy. Steps into the second part of the research, which is analyze and research people that you love watching and answer those same questions. Why do you watch them? What do you enjoy? Maybe even what do you not like about their content? Try answering some questions, analyze their content. Don't just sit and watch, but really try focusing on how the pace of the videos are, what they're talking about, how they're talking about it. Just, analyze our video. The third one is your own content. Analyze what you have been doing up until this point, if you have content, obviously, and try to see what has worked, what hasn't worked. But I think also focus on what it is that you have enjoyed the most doing. And did it correlate with the things that got more views, and what got more views, and why do you think that got more views than the other one? And then the fourth thing that I think it's really important, and I think her name is Sam on TikTok. I love her content. She gives great advice. She was talking about thumbnails and how important thumbnails are, and it is something that is, I think, often forgotten how genuinely important. And she actually mentioned something that it is really interesting, and it's that she was monitoring someone that she helps with social media that she's working with, and how they uploaded a piece of content and it wasn't doing very well within the first couple of hours. And what they did was change the thumbnail. Once it was already uploaded, they changed it to something else, and apparently the video just went so much better because the thumbnail worked better. So I guess the advice is, do not be afraid of changing your thumbnail. Also, find thumbnail inspiration. Go into Pinterest and create a board and then try creating something similar. Finally, we are at part 3, and that is the fun part. That is when you start filming. But before you start filming, there's a few things that you need to keep in mind. So some of the most common pieces of advice that I have seen are that you need to keep in mind the sound, the light, and the image. The image is where you're filming, your background, the lighting, and the sound are pretty self-explanatory. And then when it comes to your videos and what you are going to be planning, you have to keep in mind what they are, what the piece of content is going to be, the structure of it, intros and outros if you are going to be utilizing those, B-roll, again, if you are going to be using that, which I really think it elevates the video a little bit more, thumbnails, obviously, and title. Titles are very important. Now, with all of those things to keep in mind out of the way, my part 3, I am giving myself 2 weeks to pre-film a few videos, a couple of them to have in reserve just in case 1 week I am sick or busy or traveling and I can't edit and upload. Those are going to be in reserved. And then a couple of other videos to have to upload ahead of time. So I'm going to be filming a couple of weeks before and then upload 2 weeks after, so I'm ahead of the content for a couple of weeks. That's going to give me a little bit more peace of mind. I don't have to film in a rush. I have to upload today because my schedule are going to be Thursdays or Sundays. I like Thursdays and Sundays, just saying. I think those are going to be my days, maybe. I feel like when it comes to YouTube advice, a lot of people just talk about the algorithm, how it works, what you can do to hack the algorithm. And what I keep hearing when it comes to advice from people that have actually succeeded in making YouTube their job is not to focus on the algorithm. I mean, not be oblivious to it, obviously, but the advice is the most simple thing. It's be consistent, upload whenever you can, but be consistent. Keep in mind quality. Practice makes perfect, which means don't get too hung up if your first video doesn't do well. No one's born knowing, and no one's born being good at something. So practice makes perfect. Give it time. And then something that I loved, and I think it's very, very important, it is review every 3 months. I don't know who said this. I should have written it down. But someone said, give yourself 90 days, and in those 90 days, you have enough analytics to analyze what you have been doing, and you can look back, see what worked, what didn't work, reevaluate, change what you need to change, and keep going. I feel like for so many of us, if we don't see results immediately, we get really, really discouraged. So my plan, part of part 3, is to reevaluate in 3 months, 90 days. I will be back with analytics, with everything, and I will check back in, see what worked, what didn't work, and what I need to change. So what do you think of my plan? Let me know. Let me know if you're going to be doing this and if your goal is also to become a content creator for 2025. So that's it. That is my plan. I will check back in 3 months with analytics and thoughts. See you then. Well, I mean, see you next week. I have a schedule.